No more searching around the bottom of your purse or backpack for that wadded up piece of tissue, because today we're going to learn how to make this adorable little tissue pouch. It's constructed from quilt cotton with a little bit of fusible fleece, is machine washable, and another great scrap buster. Here's everything we will need to create our little tissue pouch. We have a 6 by 12 inch piece of quilt cotton, a 6 by 4.75 inch piece of very lightweight fusible fleece, 11 inch of quilt cotton bias tape, and then we have some matching thread. Optionally, you can purchase pre-made bias tape. It's pretty easy to find and comes in lots of pretty colors, and that's a great option if you don't want to make your own bias tape. If you're interested in learning how to make your own bias tape, I will create a video and have it linked in the description below, so watch for that. And go ahead and feel free to comment if that's something you're really interested in. Okay, as far as tools, we have our iron, our sewing clips, our scissors, our snips, and of course a sewing machine. Now that we have all of our materials and tools assembled and ready to go, let's get started. We are going to start out with just our main panel, which we will fold in half right sides together and clip. I'm going to take this to the machine and sew along this clipped edge. With this sewn, I'm going to snip these corners along the seam at 45-degree angles. And I'm going to mark center by snipping the opposite corners Okay, we are going to use these snips to line up our seam so that it lays in the very middle. And I'm going to take an iron and just iron the seam open. Now this step of turning our fabric and sewing it in this fashion is simply going to reduce bulk when we sew our tissue pouch up in the final step. So this is what you should have now. I'm going to take my fusible fleece at this point, and it should line up perfectly end to end, and then we should have room for our seam allowance side to side. Okay, I've got that centered. I'm going to flip it over, and I am following the manufacturer's instructions to attach that fusible fleece. Okay, that is affixed nicely. I am going to turn the entire thing right side out now. Okay, once again, I'm lining that center seam up with the notch so that everything is nice and centered. I'm going to iron the entire thing. And now we're going to install our bias tape on the raw edges. Okay, now we are looking at the outside of what will be our tissue pouch. Where the seam is going to be the inside of our tissue pouch. And I want to install my tag here on the inside. And tuck it just a little bit. I'm going to center it. And you can use a ruler. I'm eyeballing it here. I'm just going to center it along that seam and tuck it. Make sure it looks straight. And then my tag is iron-on, so I'm going to hold an iron on it for a few seconds. Put my clip back. And we're going to take this to the machine and stitch, top stitch all along our bias tape. Our wrong sides are going to be facing out for this step. And I'm going to use the ruler here on my machine. I want to fold this into the center on both sides. And then clip. All right, with these folded and clipped, I'm ready to sew up these sides. You can see how this is all sewn. I've snipped all the loose threads, except for one. We will get that. Now we're going to turn it right side out. And at this stage, we'll need to poke out all the little corners. Okay, I've used my fingers to poke out those little corners, and I'm pretty happy with the way that's worked. But if you needed to, you could use the end of a paintbrush in there, or any other tool that you like to use to poke out the corners. The very final step is going to be ironing this up. Okay, here is our final result. We've got our little tissue pouch, got my little tag on the inside